Kafe doesn't side 2 going red.
Kafe's all dead. One cash stored.
Lay the nest.
Ace dead. Diffuser down breach.
One garage.
In garage, in garage. Two
Green
garage,
dead,
two
green
garage,
dead.
two garage, last two garage.
One injured rotate.
You just hopped in a window. Just pushing.
One window.
By red door. Bound a bomb, bound a bomb, bound a bomb. You're right. Nice.
Let's go.
Hey, what's going on guys, timzy here, and today we're going to be going over Kafe in our How to Smoke series, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for 2K subs on the channel. As I'm recording this video, it looks like we are about to hit it, so thank you guys so much. I appreciate all the love and support on the channel as of recently, and I just want to say that if you guys do not know, I do stream live on Twitch about 4 to 5 days a week, so if you guys want to go over there and show some love and support on the channel, then I will appreciate it. I'll leave a link down in the description below for you guys to check it out, but anyways, I don't want to waste your time. Let's get into the video. Okay guys, so starting out on the top floor cocktail and bar, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is rotate holes. So the first rotate hole that you want to make is going to be right here on the right side of this cocktail wall so that you can go in and out from underneath the skylight without having to go through this double door. You do want to be careful though because they can see part of this rotate from the skylight right there, so you do want to be aware of that. Moving on to the next rotate that we're going to make is a rotate hole into freezer. You typically want to make this a vault hole so that you can vault in and, like in and out pretty easily, because a lot of the time if you make this a crouch hole, they actually can see you, see your feet as you crouch through this rotate hole. So either a completely runnable hole or a vault hole is always better. And then besides that, a lot of the time you have a third rotate into bathroom, and again this will be another vault rotate hole, so you make that one into bathroom. And for the most part, that's the rotate holes that you're going to be making. A lot of people like to also open up this bar a little bit just so that you can kind of see through the bar, because there's a lot of plants that happen near the bar, so you just want to open it up just to make it a little bit harder for the attackers to kind of get a free plant. And then also you can kind of use these holes to see if they try to plant on like any default spots. But for the most part, when it comes to rotate holes, that's pretty much all you have to do. You can also shoot open these two bars underneath the skylight. They do take quite a few shots, so it is really annoying when it comes to playing smoke and actually making these kind of holes. But you can make some more holes just so you can see from cocktail and do that bar. So besides that, a lot of the time, you just want to get some default reinforcements. You can get, you know, 2 freezer, one of these walls, and then the other wall right there. You can get 2 bathroom walls. Sometimes I like to reinforce this wall as well, so that sitting in bathroom, I have a little bit of cover from the other side of the bar there, so I can kind of sit here without getting shot in the back. But when it comes to playing smoke here, typically there's 2 takes for this. There is a Christmas take and then there is a cocktail take. So the Christmas take is typical for most teams. You'll see it a lot. A lot of the time they open up this red wall, they open up the freezer wall, and if they don't open up the freezer wall, they also open up this cart wall, which is what this wall is called here. So a lot of the time, the safest spot to really smoke from, in my opinion, is wood stacks here, just around the wood stacks and tarp. Again, you have this wall reinforced, but what you can do is if this wall for freezer does get open, you could smoke it from this rotate hole pretty quick. You can kind of just like jiggle peek a smoke out, and then over to the cart wall. If they open up the cart wall and they leave the freezer wall closed, or even if they open up the freezer wall, and if they are breaching this cart wall, they kind of run in and they either try to plant on this trash store, the trash bags right here. Sometimes they do try to plant here, which is why you want to open up this bar, so it's kind of like a it'll kind of stop them from actually trying to get the plant there. But again, you could actually smoke that trash wall. And sometimes people really do try to plant right on this wall here. I know you can't really see too well, but they try to backwards plant on this wall, and that smoke will hit that plant as well. And what this also allows you to do, if you're playing wood stack, if you're getting pressured in white hall really, really heavily, you could actually get the smokes over towards white hall pretty easily. And those are kind of like the 3 main entry points, and then your teammates can kind of watch everything else. You can have your Maestro or Echo watching the cigar double, or watching that new drop push into that bar right there. And especially if they don't open up this freezer wall, a lot of people do like to play in freezer with smoke. I personally don't, just because it's kind of a free nade for a lot of teams, just to clear the ADS and kind of nade you out of there. And also you can't really smoke as many spots from inside of the freezer. So a lot of the time I play wood stacks when it comes to playing smoke. Alright guys, so we're going to talk about the other push that you are likely to see when it comes to a top floor cocktail bar defense. It's not a super common attack. It's a cocktail take, and what most teams do is they take the second floor control, they push underneath, they try to actually buck or Zofia impact or Ash charge underneath all three of these bars, because this is really safe spots to play inside of the objective. So they try to clear out these bars. Whenever they do that, and they're doing a full backside clear, one thing that you want to do is try to rotate some utility over. Because that push does take a lot of time, and you actually could rotate shields, you could rotate ADSs, if possible, to try to kind of help that back push. And a lot of the time, when it comes to playing smoke on that specific push, what I would do is I would play top white, and they actually kind of ignore Christmas and Cigar most of the time because they're doing a full cocktail push. They don't really worry about the back of the, I guess in this case it'll be Cigar and Christmas. So a lot of the time your teammates can kind of rotate around here, take control, they can kind of sit underneath the skylight a little bit. But when it comes to playing smoke here, a lot of the time I would sit in wood stacks again. Sometimes I do sit in freezer because you have this wall reinforced. You can kind of use that as your cover while you jiggle peek some smokes out. But they repel on this east cocktail window. Sometimes they repel on white window, or they sit just outside the window on the AC unit, as well as they repel into this heaven window on the balcony over there. So from wood stacks, you can kind of smoke everything. You can get a jiggle smoke just right in front of the window while they try to repel in. Also, if they are repelling in, it is kind of a free kill for the most part, as long as you can kind of hit your shots pretty quick when they're hitting the repel animation. And then, of course, if they do run into heaven, they actually repel into heaven, and then they also just kind of sprint in behind this bar here to try to get the plant. And from wood stacks, you're actually completely safe to throw this smoke, and you can even see them as they run into the door, but you could just throw the smoke over there, and you can hit them behind the bar, and it should spread the entire way. But that's kind of like the main back push. Again, it's not super duper common. I'm sure a lot of you guys won't really experience that kind of push. The most common push is the Christmas push, so the first part of the top floor defense, you guys should be perfectly fine. Alright guys, moving on to kitchen, which is typically the second played site, sometimes the first, but definitely one of the top two objectives on this map. We're going to talk about the lines of sight and rotate holes that you typically want to make. So what I normally do is just open up above the wall, just so that you can kind of throw your smokes through these rotate holes or through these lines of sight over to the other side of the kitchen to try and deny any of the plants. And then besides this line of sight at the top, I do also make a line of sight in the middle, just like head level. And what this allows me to do is I can kind of play this double door, which for the most part is relatively safe to play. You do want to watch out for the verticality above, but as long as you kind of have a teammate that sits in restaurant and whiskey here, VIP, they can watch this red carpet hallway, and you should be safe for the most part. And what this allows you to do is you can see when they're in the middle of prep, and you can also see whenever they hop into this window, which is a really, really good angle to hold, or a really good angle just to have an option for. And typically a bakery push, most teams, they plant in a couple different spots, one of them being behind the stoves right here, just because that is a pretty safe spot. You can plant behind the bomb chassis, and if you guys did not know, in the Shadow Legacy update, the bomb chassis no longer have these holes on the side. They're completely connected, so it's a lot safer to kind of play behind the bomb as well as plant behind the bomb, just because it's a lot more solid. And then the third typical plant is in the other side of the prep window, because once you hop through, it's pretty safe. There's not a lot of angles that you really can get shot from on the attacking side, so you want to watch out for all of these plants. And a really good spot, you can smoke all of these from behind bunker, which is good. Again, like I said before, you want to watch out for the vertical play, because they can buck the floor, buck this wall, and get an angle into bunker, and you're not going to be able to play here if they open up that sort of line of sight, which is why I also have the spot to play here, because if they do make that angle, but they don't make any holes above the double door here, you actually can't open it above the double door. It's only a little bit off to the side, so you still want to be careful with it. Or it's just a little bit deeper of an angle. So you do want to be careful. They can make holes here, just up until this point, so they can see you if they're sitting in the red hall of second floor. But this is why I kind of made this angle, so you can kind of see the different entry points that they have from prep through the window, as well as you can kind of see the breach a little bit here. It is a pretty safe spot to play for the most part, but you do want to be careful when you're trying to get your smokes out. So for those three most common plant spots, we're going to start off with the prep window. From bunker, you could just throw your smoke over towards the prep window, and if they're planting anywhere around here, they will get smoked while trying to plant. If you throw it a little bit closer to like here, for example, it'll spread through the entire side of the prep window. And then the second plant is behind the bomb chassis. Pretty much if you just line up with the bomb, you just throw your smoke over.
it for the most part should hit the bomb, as you can see at the other side of the wall, which is perfect. And when they plant here, they will get hit by your smoke as well. And the third common spot is, or pretty much this is probably the most common spot, but the third spot that we're going to talk about is right there. And you want to be careful because like these lines of sight are great, but there's so many pots and pans sticking up. You have the hood of this stove here, so it is pretty hard to hit this smoke sometimes. There is ways to hit it from this double door here, but you do want to be careful again because you're going to be exposing yourself to the prep door, potentially the prep window if they're pushed up heavily or close enough, as well as if you try to smoke it from here, it is possible, but a lot of the time the wall's obviously going to be open, so if you throw it from bunker, as you can see, if I land this smoke, it'll most likely hit the breach or where the wall is open, as you can see right there. So this smoke is going to go through the wall, and it's not actually going to smoke the person planting. It'll smoke the person that is covering from the breach, so you do want to be careful with that. So a spot that I kind of throw it from, you can also be over towards sink side. A lot of people like to put a shield up here. You could actually put it up here. It's a little bit hard to kind of get the exact lineup, but you can throw a smoke up or put a shield up here, and you can kind of use this as cover to get your smoke over towards the plant. And this one will spread a lot more for the front plant there. But we're going to talk about the freezer side take. So typically with the freezer side take, what I do is if they open up the hatch, open up the freezer wall, a lot of the time their plant spots, they're kind of limited to 3 as well. They typically plant behind the bunker here. They plant behind the bomb chassis, or sometimes they hop into the freezer window and they plant over by sinks. And a lot of the time it is really easy to actually smoke all of these spots. Really safe places to play is you could play on the other side of the prep window. A lot of the time most teams open up vertically, so you can't really play too confidently underneath the holes above. So you can kind of play here. What this allows you to do is you can see when they run across. If they're trying to plant in bunker, you can see when they run across from freezer. You could kind of take the gunfight there. You do want to be careful and try to stay alive. But you could throw your smokes to the back wall right there. You could throw it right here to kind of cover that whole bunker side plant. And also if they're planting behind the bomb chassis, you could actually just throw your smoke over towards the side of bomb chassis, and if they're planting back here, they will get smoked by that one. You do want to be careful because a lot of the time they're obviously going to be covered by some sort of teammate, so whenever you're throwing these smokes, you want to kind of show as little of your body as possible and just try to get your smokes out as quick as you can. And then of course if you have the sink plant, if you're in this spot, it's pretty hard to kind of cover the sink plant, but you should have teammates that should be able to help you out for the most part, as long as you can deny those 2 default plants behind bunker and behind the bomb chassis, and your teammates can kind of help you watch the sink side from either, you know, an objective or, you know, something along those lines. You should be okay as long as you can get 2 out of the 3, and then if anything you guys can kind of play the retake. But we're gonna move on to the third objective. Okay guys, so moving on to the third objective on this map, we have reading and dining. So let's just start off with the rotate holes like normal and lines of sight. So we open up between the red wall and the reading hall, or the reading wall and the reading hallway. We're going to make a rotate into reading from laundry. We're going to make another rotate hole from inside of the white hall here into dining, and you can open up on the left or the right. We'll just do the right in this case. And then besides that, we make some more head holes across the entire dining wall right here. And what this allows you to do is if you're playing inside of reading, you can watch, if they do a train push, you can watch them as they go through the fireplace. You can watch them whenever they breach this wall. And then of course, you can easily smoke through both of those holes and you can use that kind of corner as your cover. But besides that, you want to make some holes in the floor just to help your teammates that are roaming upstairs and trying to hold upstairs as long as possible. You want to make some holes so that whenever the attackers are pushing across to try to take the top control, you're going to be underneath trying to help and defend your teammates playing above. You can open up underneath this double door in the cocktail. You can open up between underneath the freezer doors, which is one right there, and then you have the other one right here, just like so. And there are some other holes that you can make. You can make more holes in like the inner bar of top floor, the outer bar underneath the skylight. I don't recommend making too many holes just because like there's going to be a whole lot for you to watch, and you're, you know, a lot of the time you might be by yourself trying to look through all these holes. So you don't want to get caught off guard by a hole that you're not paying attention to just because like there's so many. So a lot of the time, just some simple holes just to watch like the kind of primary entry points of the attacking push. And then to talk about the default takes, typically most teams do a full top floor clear. They'll take top floor, they will try to take cocktail, they'll buck the floor, sledge the floor, just open up the floor and play vertically, and they try to play it on the reading door right next to this bookshelf. And so what I do for this case is I open up this bookshelf, the bottom of the bookshelf. Whenever they kind of tuck into this corner and go for this plant there, you will see them as they're trying to plant through this hole here. And a lot of the time you can actually use this rotate hole to your advantage. You can kind of have the cover of this bookshelf here, and then you can kind of shoot them as they go for that plant. And sometimes people reinforce this wall just to have some extra cover to kind of sit behind. It's really good for a smoke player just because if you make a hole a little bit higher, you can kind of smoke that corner whenever they go for the plant, just like so. And then besides that, the other take that a lot of teams do is a full train, mining, and dining push. They push train, they push mining, they take the red hall control, and they breach this wall and or this wall. Just that's their main entry points in the objective. And typically a default plant would be right on the breach. Sometimes they run a little bit deeper, so having some sort of info on this objective is always good as well. And what I would do typically is you could smoke like I did before. You could smoke from inside of reading, and you can kind of hit that corner pretty easily whenever they try to plant just really close to the breach. So you should be able to deny it from here. If you want another spot to play, a lot of the time, like I said, you have the rotate on the right or the left, and then you reinforce the other one. So in this case, we'll reinforce the left wall. What this allows you to do is you have somewhere to kind of sit behind, but then you could also throw your smokes out. Not like that, but you can kind of throw your smokes out, hit the breach, and then blow it up like that. And then, of course, if they kind of push in deeper into the site, having info in here is always good. But it should be pretty easy to kind of play behind this reinforced wall, you know, swing to get your smokes out if necessary, as well as if you're playing in this hallway, you can kind of take these gunfights as you want. But for the most part, those are kind of the most common spots. There's not too many other smoke spots that you want to really worry about or kind of need to know. You can easily smoke through the floor as well. If you want to like waste more time and smoke the cocktail double from underneath, you can do that as well if there's you know, a reason to do so, but those are kind of the most common. Anyways, guys, that's going to be all from me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did so, don't forget to leave a like on the video. And if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button for future content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.